Cocoon strikes again, and the man hit by it awakens as Grace Auvergne. Having woken up as the daughter of the Duke of Auvergne, his mind was still that of a 52-year-old civil servant from his previous life. Falling from her horse and hitting her head, I don't know, remembered everything. With some fellows checking on his fall, he now remembered this was the world of a game where one could enjoy romances with many handsome men. Of course, we know this as an otome game. His last memory from his old life was pushing a little boy out of the way of a truck. This was an instance of reincarnation into another world. But why did he, Kenzaburou Tondabayashi, a 52-year-old government worker, have to be reincarnated as the daughter of a duke in an otome game? This was too much of a mismatch, even as a joke by the gods. He had enough otaku knowledge to know this reincarnated to another world thing, but he didn't know a single thing about otome games. How was he supposed to survive? Suddenly, one of his servants, Josette, came in nervously sweating as she brought Lady Grace her change of clothes. With Grace thanking her, the servant backed away frightened, bumping her head against the door before leaving the clothes and scurrying off. As Grace, he still had the memory of how he used to be until now. Grace had quite a strict personality, always scolding her servants and never thanking them even once. In other words, his role in this life was the villainess of this very otome game world. The TV blared with that very villainous saying, "Know your place. This academy is no place for a commoner like you to set foot so brazenly." That was when Kenza had walked in on his daughter, Hinako, playing the game he was in now, Magical Academy, Love and Beast. He could tell it was an otome because of all the handsome guys on the cover, and teased his daughter somewhat for playing it in the living room. The daughter was a proud otaku, telling her father about Grace, the villainess who stood in the protagonist's way. The father had some knowledge on this, commenting on how the heroine's rival with spiral curls had been a staple since the 70s, like Ayumi Himekawa from Glass Mask, Madame Butterfly from Aim for the Ace, and Eliza Legan from Candy Candy. Yes, I had to look these all up to understand the references. This guy was a little too old, given both his daughter and I had no idea what he was rambling on about. Comparing that moment to Grace's memory, he was certain this world was almost exactly like the one in the otome game Magical Academy Love and Beast. Right now, he was Grace Auvergne, the villainess. And starting today, he was a student at the Royal Academy of Magic. He saw a sparkly pink-haired girl, brimming with hope, suddenly trip, spectacularly face-planting. He perceived her as a clumsy girl that the players could easily sympathize with. Anna Doll was undoubtedly the protagonist of this otome game. Kenza had a memory of his daughter explaining Anna being excited about her first day at the academy, but Grace stood in her way because she was a commoner, when most who attended were nobles like Grace. First, Grace had lectured Anna about their difference in social status, and even insulted Anna's beloved family, pushing her to tears. That moment made Anna resolve to study magic hard to prove Grace wrong. Remembering this, Kenza still contemplated on why he was the one who had to be reincarnated into this game world. With Grace stopping Anna, the other students spoke in hushed whispers about Grace's family being the most powerful in the country after the royal family. Grace knew Anna had passed the entrance exam into the school with the highest score, but instead of degrading the heroine, he told Anna her parents must have been very wise, caring, and loving. Oh no, he forgot to act like a villainess and let his true feelings as a parent slip. Anna looked down, crying with tears of joy and gratefulness towards her parents. She never thought someone with a noble status as high as Grace's would say something so kind to her. Grace was stun-locked. The other students watching misinterpreted the situation, thinking Grace had made Anna cry by saying something harsh. So, he dragged Anna away as quickly as he could. Sitting down on a bench together, Anna apologized for losing her composure. It's just that her family wasn't wealthy, but when they found out she had a talent for magic, they worked so hard to save money. She was thankful for the opportunity to study magic because of them, and touched by Grace's kind words. So, Grace led Anna the correct way, by suggesting the method to repay them. Anna already knew she needed to work hard, then get a good job to give her family a better life. However, that was different from Grace's actual answer. He suggested Anna develop her talents to the fullest and live a happy life. From a parent's perspective, that's what he'd want for his own daughter. Anna shrieked acknowledging Grace was right once again, and that her parents had already said the exact same thing to her. After wiping Anna's tears once more, the blonde boy from earlier teased Grace for making someone cry on the first day. Kenza remembered this handsome boy from Grace's memory. He was one of the romance options for the protagonist. As of now, he was Grace's fiancé and the crown prince of the country, whose name he couldn't remember. He continued to make small talk while concurrently using all of his brain power to remember the prince's name. It's not because he had forgotten the prince's name, but being an older man, he often couldn't remember people's names because he had learned so many names in his lifetime, and couldn't immediately pick out the right one. But with Anna greeting the prince, this was Grace's saving grace. The prince congratulated Anna on her exam score, but unfortunately still did not name himself. This made sense though, since according to Grace's knowledge, there was an unspoken rule that people of high status don't introduce themselves first. He needed to introduce the prince to Anna, otherwise things would seem strange. So, Grace introduced her full title to Anna, and then gave Anna the hint that the man before them was the crown prince, causing Anna to shriek while naming him Royal Highness Crown Prince Virgil Vierge. Exactly what Grace needed. The prince then took off, reminding them not to be late for the entrance ceremony, which also coincidentally reminded Kenza of the course of events. His daughter had told him in the game's story, Anna gets insulted by Grace and cries alone in the courtyard. Then meets Prince Virgil, who calms her down. This was the first necessary event for the prince ending. He now wondered if that ending had just hit the triggered requirement. However, Anna was just happy Grace introduced her as a friend. Hearing now that Anna wanted to refer to her as Miss Grace, he was now concerned he might have triggered some other kind of event. Will you like this video and subscribe to my channel? Oh ho ho ho! Here at my Shoujo Weekly, I've got plenty of stories to share with you, involving graceful, rich villainesses. You might even say I've got the best villainess stories here on YouTube. I even have a whole playlist you can watch. So come on, hit that subscribe and give me a like. Wandering the halls, Kenza was proud of himself, given no one had noticed he was an old man inside the body of a duke's daughter. An old man in a wizard outfit suddenly welcomes Grace, and from Grace's memories, Kenza knew this old man was the principal. So, reflexively, he acted the way he would have meeting a principal in his old life, which translated to Grace giving a curtsy and good day to the principal. He was proud of himself once again. He called this elegant cheat skill. And so, Grace finished the opening ceremony as the representative of the freshman students. So far, things have gone just like what he saw at the beginning of the game, and honestly, he was excited to learn about magic. However, the one problem he might have is that the protagonist liked him, when he was supposed to be the villainess. With her non-stop yapping, he told Anna to save her excitement until after their teacher finished her lecture. Anna apologized, and Kenza wondered if what he said sounded enough like a villainess. It was hard for him to be mean to such a sweet girl, but given he was reincarnated as Grace, he needed to act like a villainess as much as possible. Unbeknownst to him though, Anna was lighting up from his statement, thinking of Grace as such a wonderful person. She couldn't believe that even though they had just met, a noblewoman was correcting her shortcomings. Moreover, she believed Grace's behavior was the perfect example of an upper-class lady. Anna felt she needed to work hard not to embarrass Grace, so she needed to learn how to behave at this school from Grace. She noticed Grace looking serious at her textbook, and was looking back and forth between the textbook and the podium. She surmised Grace was imagining what class would be like before it started, and thought of her as amazing. But in reality, Kenza was recalling when going through books, his fingers would slip, so he'd have to often lick them. He was far-sighted and also couldn't see up close. His eyes also took time to adjust focus. But now, as 15-year-old Grace, none of those things were issues. This was simply liberating. While Anna was fixated on following Grace's example, the teacher then suddenly summoned a cabinet, where upon calling the name of a student, they needed to come up to take one of the eggs from inside. In the prince's room, his buddy, August Lion, decided to come in for a chat. August wanted to know which freshman Virgil had decided should join the student council. So, Virgil described members to be chosen based on their grades, family background, and character. He brought up Anna Dahl, who scored the highest on the entrance exam, as a preferred choice. Then, Grace for her grades and family background. August didn't think Grace was a bad choice, but thought of her as very strict. and suggested she might not get along with a commoner like Anna. Initially, the prince was worried about that as well, but now thinks Grace has changed a bit lately. He's decided to keep an eye on her before making a decision. Reaching the school cafeteria, Anna was excited to learn she could eat as much as she wanted here. Grace maintained his composure, despite also being excited by an all-you-can-eat buffet. Using his elegant cheat skill, he conveyed the buffet style to be simply quite wonderful. The two then overheard some girls complaining to the staff. These 3 girls were upset that they had to carry food to their table by themselves because their servants weren't allowed at school, while conveying their parents were counts. The staff member clarified that to be the case, as the academy was principled in making sure the students could cultivate self-reliance and independence in daily life. It was written in their educational policy. Kenza thought the 3 were acting more like spoiled brats than villainesses. As Grace Auvergne, he should never emulate them. He had Anna follow her as he carried his own food tray, earning the compliments of the staff member while the 3 girls were losing it. He found the food to be quite delicious, and the 3 nervous girls scurried off in embarrassment. Enjoying the food, he reflected on the fact that while civilization here was similar to that of 19th century Europe, the food and hygiene were that of modern Japan. Nothing like the real world at all. However, the students and teachers here were living beings, so he felt he should treat them with the same respect he'd give anyone. That said, he had only the most basic manners as a commoner. He used to eat everything on his plate, and give thanks for the food, also thanking the chef. He kindly gave his tray to the staff, and gracefully told him to pass on that the food was incredibly delicious to the chef. The girls were in awe over Grace's etiquette. They all wanted to imitate her. In fact, this behavior later became an academy tradition, and thus began the colorful isekai life of Kenzaburou Tondabayashi, a 52-year-old civil servant. Wow, what an interesting start to this season's Villainess anime. Subscribe to the channel for next week's episode. Also, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.